It gives me great pleasure to have Trevor Knell on episode 130 of the Sussex by the Sea podcast. And here's another man who's a Sussexonian, as we say, but sort of the posh end, West Sussex, Arundel way. A man who's got, well, literally, I'm looking at the Premier non-league podcast, the SNLF. I'm sure you do a Substack as well, didn't you,
I
Trev?
do. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
do. I
Two of
mean,
them.
footballwriting.co.uk, loads and loads of work promoting the lovely stuff that is non-league football, close to my heart as well. So we had to have Trevor on. Firstly, Trev, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Chris. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. Today we're pushing. Today it's the talk about the SNLF podcast. It's episode 6. Is out. I think it was a day or two ago, wasn't it,
Yeah. Yeah.
Trev?
At last Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was that the one where you had the Lancing manager on, or am I thinking of the one before?
No, that was one before that. We had the two guys that organised the Sussex Ground Hop at the weekend.
Okay. So tell me how the SNLF podcast got going and who's behind it. Nothing sinister, but I mean by that, but like in terms of who got together and has got this good thing talking about Sussex football.
Well, actually, it comes from an idea from your old CEO, Billy Wood.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, Billy Wood, yeah. Go on
Basically,
then.
Billy had an idea. I can't remember where he put it on, whether it was on Facebook or on Twitter. I think it was.
Mm,
He'd spotted the same niche that we're exploiting. Basically, where the newspapers haven't got the resources anymore to cover non-league football all the way
mm,
down to sort of like the county league levels. And they're all clubs, just like the Hastings, the Bognors, the Worthings, and the Eastbournes up there as well. And they all deserve their own coverage.
mm,
So I messaged him back. I think a couple of other people did and said, look, yeah, we're quite interested, and it never went anywhere. So I thought, right, there's a space for this. There's an absolute
mm,
space for this. So I park it in the back of my mind, and if I can ever get it to come off, be fantastic. That'll actually be for me the end goal of what I wanted to kind of get to. And it's been parked and parked. We're probably talking, don't know, probably about a couple of years, maybe 3. Um, and then I was chatting to one of my mates, Mike McCaffrey, how many months ago? A few months ago, and originally he was just going to do a bit of sponsorship on my site, the footballwriting.co.uk one. And
mm.
then we were just talking a little bit more, and he said, what's the end goal? And I said, the end goal is this site basically. That's what I want to get to that point. And he said, right, let's make it happen. So we sort of talked for a few months. He said, what do you need to do? And I said, the real thing I think is reason why no one's done it is money to get it set up, to sustain it, and keep it moving. I said the content's no problem. I can sort that. It's everywhere. You just don't need to do any much. You look on X, Twitter, whatever you like to call it, and it's
Mm.
there. Some clubs are really great with their social media, and there's some little quirky bits that don't get to the paper, which still need highlighting as well. So we sort of started putting it together end of end of last year, beginning of this year. We got the website off the ground in July, so we're not even up to 6 months yet. And then we started the podcast. As you said, we've had 6 episodes plus a pilot. So 7 weeks ago, we've been going on the podcast, and that's literally the story. But we have literally just scratched the surface at the moment.
Yeah, and the podcast is a weekly one, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I found that myself when I was covering with the lovely Leon Pettit of former Icklesham player. We were covering the ESFL, MSFL, and SCFL. We tried it for a season a couple of years ago now, with video and everything. And because it was only myself and Leon sort of participating, it's hard work. So my heart goes out to you, and I hope it works. There's so many great clubs out there, big and small, and there's so many stories. There's like I know everyone says their own fan base is special, but there's so many special fan bases out there, so many quirky stories and great football as well. So the fact that you can get people on talking about it weekly from all the different clubs is great. something I'm trying to do as well in my own small way. But it's just to get those stories out there because it's you're doing it because you love. You're not looking doing it to make money out of it, are you? Really, you're doing it because you love football. And I mean, obviously, if you can make money out of it eventually, good luck to you. So, who you got on next week for on the SNLF?
This coming week, we've got hopefully, I've just got to check and make sure she's still coming on. The White Hawk physio, Ellie Mae Watson, is going to be our special guest this week. So that's the other thing we're trying to do with the special guests on the podcast is not just go from a manager point of view. We're trying to pick all the angles as far as we can. So I think 3 weeks ago we had Paul Stone, who's a secretary at Hayward Heath. We had the Groundhop guys last week ahead of the Southern Combination hop at the weekend, which was a perfect thing to do. Ellie this week. We've got a couple of other chairmen that are keen to come on. We've actually had people going, get me on, get me on.
Oh, good.
We're booked up to the end of November. I'm already looking at December. I think we're halfway through that with people that want to come on. Because those people have got the stories just as much of the guys have in the dugout, and it's just, like you say, trying to get those stories out there and across to people and give everyone a broad outlook of the non-league rather than just like pigeonholing it, straight down the middle.
Well, yeah, particularly if you just get a manager on, they're going to give you a certain angle. They're not going to want to give too many things away. Whereas, I say, getting a physio on, I'm sure there's many ridiculous things that have gone on, and they can talk about. They not have to worry about anything upsetting anyone. So you've got, in terms of your sponsorship, I've seen that for an event at ARUNDEL FC, you've got in conversation with Marc White of Dorking fame, Dom DiPaleo of the Mighty Horsham, and Craig Stuart, who's the current manager at Arundel. I mean, and that you're sponsoring this. I mean, how have you got that together? That's a great three to get together. How difficult was that?
I didn't actually have too much to do with it, actually. Mike, who is a part of the podcast, there's the three of us. There's myself, there's Mike McCaffrey, and there's one of my mates I've known for about 12 years, Gareth Spinks, who goes around to a lot of games as well. Mike's obviously first team coach, I think it is, at Arundel at the moment as well. So there's the three of us on the pod, and Mike come to me a few weeks ago and said Arundel are going to put this event on with Mark, with Dom and Craig. He said, do you fancy emceeing it? Would you do that? I said,
nice.
yeah. And he obviously said, he said, you know Mark well enough, Dom, Craig. We did a PNLP live a couple of years ago with Mark and Dom were two of the guests, along with Adam Hinchelwood and Chris Simmons of Broadbridge Heath. So I speak to both of those two quite regularly. Just touch base every now and then. And that, like I say, Mark's a legend in his own right when it comes to podcasting and stories and everything. That evening I think I spoke to Dom actually, I think a couple of weeks ago, and he said, he said we're with you soon, aren't we? I said, yeah. I said, we got the evening, haven't we? He said Mark will be, running away with it on his own. I said, I know.
I was going to say, it's going to be hard to MC it, isn't it? Get him to shut up occasionally, yeah.
There's literally going to be one question for Dom and one question for Craig, and the rest of it is just going to be Mark all the way through. But no, it's going to be good. Mark is box office. Everyone knows that. He'll get bums in seats. And I've listened to him on so many podcasts as well that even some of the stories I've heard more than once, he just chucks another couple of bits into that, and you just think, oh, I haven't heard that little bit before. It's just fantastic. So that evening would be great. We're sponsoring it.
That's the 27th of November, wasn't it?
27th, yeah, Wednesday, 27th of November. There's a link up on our website, and which is going up this evening. It's already out on Twitter and on our Facebook page as well, so you can get tickets from there. There are only a limited amount of how many people they can get in the clubhouse. So if you do,
what's the clubhouse like at Arundel anyway? I can't say I've ever been to that ground. So
it's cozy and comfy, I think is the best way to describe it. A lot of sofas and comfy chairs rather than sort of hard seating stuff and that. So no, it's going to be a really good evening. We're hoping as well we can get it recorded and then put it out ourselves onto a YouTube channel. Just to give it that extra.
Oh, you definitely get a few views there. Bloody hell.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's just what it's all about for us at the moment, because we're relatively new. It's just getting ourselves out there as much as we can, everywhere and anywhere. Just to keep growing what is going to be our brand, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, I've said obviously from your brand point of view, you are all over Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, which is good. And anything that's pushing local football is a good thing, because it's a real tragedy, as you say, about the the local papers pulling back, and there's no correspondence now at games. So in all of our own little ways, if we can get a little bit of a voice out there, filling us in, might encourage others to go and watch their local teams as well, which is keeps the lifeblood of football going, isn't it, really?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think our levels are benefiting really well from people being priced out at the top level of the game, VAR, things moving, international break, kickoff times changing at a couple of weeks' notice and whatnot. It is pushing so many people down into our levels. I mean, just looking at yourselves, Chris, at Hastings, getting anywhere between 1,000 and 2,500 for a game at that level is ridiculous when you look by looking in from from a different country, and things like that. But you even go down a lot further, to clubs at step 5 getting 200-300 through the gate as well. And you just think, blimey, it's just ridiculous. If you weren't involved in it, you think how, but room for even more, as well on top of that.
Exactly. Well, you've mentioned my club, Hastings. Obviously, this podcast that I do is Sussex wide. It used to be Hastings only until a few years ago, but you're just saying that we've just lost manager Danny Bloor. You had Danny on, was it episode, I'm going to get this wrong again, was it episode 3 you had him on, or was it 2? 2, yeah. Were you surprised at him parting ways with Hastings?
Yeah, well, I say yes and no. Football's a results business these days, and even more so than it ever was even 15, 20 years ago. And you look at the record for Hastings this year, the same with Lancing, with Jamie Hollis as well. Both sides would have expected to be probably in around about the top 10 at this point of the season, pushing on, ready to make a charge towards Christmas and just after into the playoffs. So no, I would say from a results point of view, he's probably pretty frustrated with how it's gone for Hastings this year. And again, you just if results don't go, you're really walking that tightrope that someone's likely to push you off.
Yeah. So well, it is a lot different now. It used to be people wouldn't even talk about this until 15 games into the season, but the modern football, it seems to be people are under pressure fairly quickly within a few games, unfortunately. Trev, that's the SNLF podcast, but you've got a lot of other many other hats. Did you want to bring up any of your other bits and bobs?
Yeah, let's give them a bit of a plug. I'm still just about involved in the PNLP, the Premier Non-League podcast. That's been going for 5 years. I'm not on it as often this year as I have been in the past, literally because I've got so much going on, and with the SNLF podcast and the website, and with more bits to come for that as well. That's kind of taking up a lot of my time. So I'm sporadically on that. So if you still listen to that when it's out every other Monday, you occasionally hear my dulcet tones, but not very often. Then blogging wise, I have got my own Barnet blog as well, which keeps that separate from all of the other stuff I do as well, which is on a Substack as well. That's trevorknell.substack.com. And as Chris mentioned earlier, www.footballwriting.co.uk is my main one, which has been going 7 years this month, actually. So it's just about birthday time. So that normally means there should be a little special offer coming out in the next couple of weeks just to celebrate that as well. But that I'll try and keep as diverse as I can, get to as many different games and clubs. I dislike, because hate's a strong word. I dislike people calling me a groundhopper, because I go to the same grounds year in, year out because of the people that are there, people I know at club, and that sort of thing. Because it's great. I mean, as you probably know, Chris, you go around to a non-league ground, there's always somebody especially if you've been in the game long enough, there's someone to catch up with, and that's what I go for, because it's not just that. There's players on the pitch as well that you look at them and think, well, I should be playing a little league higher. And some of the people I'm in contact with as well, I'll happily stick names their way. It's up to them if they take it up and go and have a look or whatever, entirely up to them. But it just, they can't get out to watch, all manner of games and everything. So
exactly.
You can subscribe to that for £5 a month. So you get eight different pieces in a month. So it works out 50p for each one. You can't buy a cup of coffee, much below the £5, let alone go and get anything for 50p these days, not even a Freddo. So, and I also do a free piece for everybody on a Friday as well. So even if you just want to subscribe for free and read that, you can. There's something for everybody. And the program writing service, I started actually in the pandemic years. And also we had 2 years of stop-start football. It grew. It was started with actually East Preston were the first side to take me on. I've now got 9. I've just Bognor Regis have just come on to join this year, so it's part of the service. Ironically, I have, which is where I actually hail from, where I was born, than I do anywhere else in the country. But I picked up a couple of new ones this year in Brixham and Lower Breck up near Liverpool, so it's quite diverse. But the uniqueness of what I do is every club gets their own column for each home game, so it's completely different. It's their choice whether they want to pick a topic for me to write about and I'll turn it into an article, or whether they give me free reign. And literally all the Shot Town in the National League that I do are the only ones who choose, which is great. I'm quite happy, like Victoria doing that for me every week. No one gets the same words, no one gets the same column. It is literally that unique. I might use the same topic, but it'd be a completely different article on each way it goes. So that's why I can turn that into a charging service, because I could just write one generic column as someone like the non-league paper does and just give it out like that. But the club seem to enjoy it. I've got Met Police who've been doing it for 5 years. My longest serving club. And most of the others are into 2 and 3 years. There's just obviously some new ones this year as well. So if there's anybody out there who wants some extra content for for their people to read as they come through, they're all designed to be either informative, an opinion, or you've learned something by the time you've read it. When I was younger, growing up, I always used to get programs at games. I still get them now, but I want to learn something or read something within a program and think I've actually not just flicked through at pictures in a, like looking at a magazine. I actually want to come away thinking, and I do appreciate how difficult it is to put a program together. I've done it a few times at step 6 level. But I know there's some really good people out there that do print programs, and they'll tell you it's still cost effective to do it. You've just got to market it very well and have a good selling point inside the ground.
Yeah, no, actually, hallelujah to you for keeping the program going. I'm an absolute stickler. I have to, when I'm going to a game, I have to buy a program. Everyone who knows me knows that that's the first thing I'm looking for. Then it's the bar. But firstly, program 50-50 or whatever the club's got going on, and then the bar, and then I tend to stay around there. But no, that's fantastic work you're doing. But you just mentioned in Barnet, you're around everywhere. When do you ever get time for Barnet?
Fun enough, I had so many games last month in September that in October, and I went, you know what, I need to calm it down this month and actually get round to a few different clubs. Because I also try and get to each of the clubs who take the work in the program. I try and get round to them at least once, just as kind of a thank you for taking it, because I haven't got to. So squeezing them in as well. So I was actually at Barnet at the weekend with a bit Rochdale 2-1. But I went something like 4 times last month. So it's like, right, that's enough. I need to write about something else. Otherwise, I have to push everything really towards that Barnet blog. And then that means I've got to find stuff to write for mine as well. So I do fit it in. It's not easy from the south coast getting all the way up to the other side of Middlesex as it is, rather than we're not actually in Hertfordshire. It's difficult, but again, it gives me, I can go from watching step 1 at Barnet to go down and watching step 6 at Arundel or East Preston or somewhere like that. And that's what's just so great about non-league football. You've got that level, but you've just got so much in between.
Absolutely. Well, Trev, thank you so much for coming on. And well, I hope all of your many endeavours go well. Obviously the sponsorship at Arundel, I'm sure that's going to be an absolute crack, and obviously it'll be on video, and any links I'll stick it on my the videos and the podcast when it goes out, to make sure that it goes all to yourselves. Please, if you can, come on again. But listen, you take care and have a great afternoon, mate.
Brilliant. Cheers, Chris. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Trev. Thanks for that.